Welcome back to Boo TV. Thanks for stopping in. I just got to get this off my chest because this has been irking me the last couple of weeks of the season. How the Luka Doncic fans have just been bitching and complaining nonstop because he's not as far up on the MVP ladders as they would like him to be, or they believe he should be. And then after the recent news of the 3 MVP finalists and Luka Doncic was snubbed, according to them, the bitching and complaining has only grown exponentially. And I'm just like, are you guys stupid? Don't get me wrong. If you feel like he's the MVP, he's the MVP. But if you can't see the logic behind why he's not, or if you think the fact that he's not a finalist is egregious, and that's where we go our separate ways. I do not think it's egregious that he's not an MVP finalist. And I've seen all the little stats and their argument for Luka Doncic. Things like Luka Doncic is the only player in the past 10 seasons to win the scoring title and not be finalist for MVP. What else does he need to do? Cure cancer? There's a anti-Luka Doncic agenda in the NBA. Then people saying, well, they can't cite defense because Luka Doncic is among, in there with the league leaders in steals per game this season. So it can't be his defense. Let me tackle that one real quick. Why that's a poor argument. First of all, just because you might average, 1.5, 2.5 steals per game doesn't necessarily make you a good defender and doesn't excuse you of being a bad defender either. Sometimes you could just play the passing lanes well, but you can still be getting blown by consistently, unable to stay in front of a player all game long. And that is Luka Doncic. Oh, you don't watch games if you think Luka is bad on defense. Yeah, I watch every Laker game actually, and Luka is an atrocious defensive player. Does he have spurts, moments of playing good defense? Yeah, I think everybody does. Even maybe the worst defender in the league. You can find some highlights of him playing, a couple of good possessions here and there. But Luka is definitely a guy that might get you 1.5 steals per game and still can't stay in front of a man to save his life. A lot of times it's not even effort, it's just unwillingness to play defense. Yeah, I actually watch Laker games. Case in point, Steph Curry led the league in steals 2015-2016 season. That was his unanimous MVP season. And remember, he couldn't stay on the floor at times because he was so much of a defensive liability. Despite him averaging over 2 steals per game and being a league leader in steals, Steve Kerr couldn't keep him on the court many times, especially in the finals. Teams were hunting him out. But you expect me to believe he's anything more than an atrocious defender just because he averages 2 steals per game? He can't stay in front of anybody. He's a liability. Allen Iverson, somebody that's not known for being a good defensive player, led the league in steals 3 years in his career. So just because he has these steals doesn't excuse him of being a bad defender. He sucks defensively. Point blank, period. Is Luka Doncic having a great season? Did he have a great regular season? Yeah, led the league in scoring, 33.5 points per game, almost 8 rebounds per game, about 8 assists per game, 47% from the field. Was on an absolute torrid streak the last couple of weeks of the season. Catapulted the Lakers. Yeah, he had a great season. You can't take that away from him. Hell of a season. Great numbers, all that stuff. But what people tend to forget is that the MVP race isn't just about him. It's about the field. So you'll see people saying things like, James Harden averaged similar stats and he got the MVP in his MVP season and things like that. Well, you can't look at it like that. Every season is its own entity. It's its own capsule. You can't compare what's going on in this MVP race in this season to something of years previous because there's other players in the race. No matter what you do, sometimes there are just guys that perform better than you that season. So that is a flawed argument when people say things like that. Sometimes it's more about the field than it is about the player. And the 3 finalists ahead of Luka was Shea, Nikola Jokic, and Wembanyama, who have all had spectacular seasons. And I believe, me personally, I have all three of them ahead of Luka Doncic as well. Shea, 31 points per game, 4 rebounds, 6.5 assists on crazy efficiency, 55% from the field, with the best record in the league. How can you argue that? Or how could you say it's egregious? The thought of SGA being ahead of him is egregious. Nikola Jokic, almost 28 points per game, almost 13 rebounds per game, almost 11 assists per game on almost 60% shooting. Led the league in rebounds and assists. Come on, man. What are we talking about? Average a triple-double. How can you say it's egregious that Joker is ahead of Luka? Could you make an argument? Sure, but egregious? Absolutely not. Stop bitching and complaining. Wemby, 25, 11, 3 on 50% shooting, and the best defensive player in the league. Hands down, unanimous defensive player of the year. And doing it in limited minutes, which is crazy. Crazy. Over 60 wins this season. How could you think it's egregious that Victor is ahead of Luka? And this will hurt y'all even more for me to say this. I don't even think Luka's not even 4th on my MVP vote. Luka's not even 5th for me. Luka is 6th for me. You know why? I have Cade Cunningham ahead of Luka Doncic with that great season he had in Detroit. And I have Jaylen Brown ahead of Luka Doncic in the MVP race with that great season he has had. A season where everybody expected the Boston Celtics to mail it in and tank because they didn't have a chance. And look what Jaylen Brown has done. Led that team. MVP caliber season. Put them in position to be in contention in the Eastern Conference especially. And then look what happens. Tatum comes back looking damn good, better than anybody expected him to look. Now, they're pretty much front runners to make it to the finals in the East. Thank you, Jaylen Brown, for not mailing it in. Boston Celtics organization, trusting your team, trusting your player, trusting your coach, and going out there competing and playing, regardless of losing your arguably best player on your team, and Jason Tatum. Come on, man. What are we talking about here, people? What are we talking about? All of these guys had spectacular seasons. And I wouldn't have much of a problem if any one of them got MVP. Yes, I have my own ranking, and I think some deserve it than others. But given how many great seasons we have from these MVP candidates, I'm not going to put up a big argument about it because I think there's context and good points of views from each side. But to think it's egregious is crazy. Stop your bitching and complaining. I don't see any of these other fan bases bitching and complaining like the Luka Doncic fans have been, or so-called Laker fans. Some of them might be, some of them might not be at this point. I don't know. It's over. It's over. He's not going to get the MVP this season. It's done. Leave it alone. Get over it. There's been so many players that have had even worse, and in the history of our league, players that have had MVP snubs where they really should have got it, and they didn't, who have a much larger case for Luka Doncic. And I didn't even see those guys bitching and complaining as much as these Luka fans have been. It makes me want to vomit. Shut the hell up. This is coming from a Laker fan. I'm tired of hearing it. I'm tired. I love Luka. He's one of my favorite players. But no, it's not a sin. It's not a travesty that he was an MVP finalist. It's not. It's not. All these other players are mentioned are worthy. Just as worthy or even more worthy, depending on who you're talking to. Anyway, that's all I got to say about it. I just had to get that off my chest. The Luka fandom is crazy. It's crazy. Oh, boy. And I like the play. I love Luka. Always love Luka. Happy that he's on the Lakers. Ecstatic. Can't wait for LeBron to leave so we can build around him. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, stay notified. Catch you on the next one. We out, baby.